Welcome back to Vlogmas, day 14. Let's make some creamy spinach pasta. First, you want some penne pasta. You're gonna boil it up, and then you're gonna get some sausage. Eventually, you're gonna ground this up, but you wanna add some sage. And I also like to add Italian seasoning, which you'll see in just a moment, but I put it over there and then I ground my sausage up just to kind of like get the flavor mixed in with the sausage. But usually I use savory sage sausage. This one is just original. As we go on, you're really gonna see me like add more seasoning just because I like to overdo it. I feel like there's no such thing as too much seasoning, but there is absolutely something as too little seasoning, and I like my stuff to have flavor. Normally I have this really cool meat like grinder type utensil, but I've had two so far and my dog has chewed both of them up. I don't know why that is her victim, but she goes for it. So right now we're just using a regular old spatula, but the meat grinder tool, whatever it's called, is actually really good and I like it and I miss it. So if you're watching this and you love me, I need a new one. While we're on this little topic of recording and you can see my kids in the background, this is what it's like cooking as a mother. They're using the microwave, they're like dancing, they're running around, and I'm just like going about my business. I think after being a mom of 17 years, nothing phases me anymore, not a thing. But as I'm doing this voiceover and I'm watching this back and I'm just realizing that it's like my head goes into my neck. What is that? And anybody who's 30 and older, if you could tell me how to fix that, I would be very grateful. Anyway, we're gonna add some minced garlic. I am very generous with my minced garlic. You'll see me put in like a couple of like tablespoons worth because I just feel like you can never have enough garlic. I don't actually know measurements, and don't quote me because I just play everything by ear. I just dump that stuff in there. If it's overwhelming, it's overwhelming, but it never is. So I don't think you can overuse garlic. Can you? I don't know. It always tastes just fine. And I actually never really taste the garlic. So maybe I'm not putting enough in there. Told you, and we're going back for the garlic. Now, I will tell you, majority of the time that you're making this, it's really all about just like mixing in random ingredients like as you go. I know the basics of the ingredients, so I never measure anything anymore, but you know, it's the penne pasta, the sausage, minced garlic, heavy whipping cream, and Parmesan. And spinach. Super easy to make, and you just spend most of your time mixing everything in there. I do recommend using a bigger pan than I use because it was falling out. So I use an entire container of baby spinach just because once like you start to cook it and it starts to shrivel up, it actually does not look like that much. I probably could have got away with using two of them if I had two of them, but one of them was totally fine. And I really actually like that the kids enjoy this because this is a really good way to sneak in those vegetables. I don't have to sneak them in because the kids love it and it's also in the name. It's creamy spinach pasta. But yeah, I used to hate spinach, and I think once I started to do this, I started to realize that if you have the right stuff with spinach, it's not bad. Your spinach will start to kind of look like it's wilting. That's perfectly fine. That's how it's supposed to look. Now with the heavy whipping cream, I use a whole container for the entire meal, but at the beginning I only use half. I'll pour it in there until I think it's good enough, and like eventually that will thicken up, but you only want to put half in there for the first part because you're going to have to save the other half for later. This is the part where I say get a bigger pan because it was like spilling out and everywhere, and I'm a messy cook, so you're going to see I had it all over the stove. But that's what it's going to look like. And this is what it'll start looking like. It'll start boiling up and it's perfect. Now, I had to have a glass of wine. I've had that big ass bottle sitting on top of my counter for, I want to say since like last Halloween, so I had to drink it up. It was really, really good. Now, is it really a video when Tori doesn't come up saying, beefing with my chick while I'm in jail? So I add Parmesan after I put the heavy whipping cream just because it thickens it up a little bit in my opinion. I had about a half of a container left and I only poured a half of that in there. I saved the rest for when I put the rest of the heavy whipping cream in later on. And again, this whole time the like sauce is like thickening up so that way I can like add it into the pasta. So once you've drained your noodles, you can add the sauce in there. It doesn't look as thick as it's supposed to be, but it will get there. I promise you it will get there. You just have to make sure that you get all of that stuff in the noodles and mixed in, like to where everything is like evenly coated. So once it's all mixed in, I add the rest of the heavy whipping cream, and that will thicken up and it will give you the perfect consistency of the sauce that you really need. And to help it thicken up, I follow it with the rest of the Parmesan. So you want to give it more of a mix. Again, you're just trying to make sure that everything is like evenly put in there. And then I add a little bit more sage and Italian seasoning, just because I want the noodles to also have that flavor. So it's like pretty hearty and flavorful. As I'm doing this voiceover, I realize I'm sitting in front of those woodwick candles. So you might actually hear the candle in the background, and you can definitely hear my dogs. I'm sorry. Anyway, here's the pasta and here's the aftermath. Creamy spinach pasta is one of my kids' favorite meals, so thanks for cooking it with me.